Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to the channel and welcome to NFS Unbound. It's finally here in all its stylized glory. Now, I thought it'd be interesting to take a look at how it works in kind of day versus night. Obviously, with kind of most of the trailers being centered around night, I feel like we've not seen much of really how it plays in the day. So I thought it'd be interesting to kind of go through both, see kind of how the heat system works, how money works. So we're going to drive to our first event in the game in our standard, car that was given to us pretty much first off. I went with the Sylvia. I believe you can pick out of the Countach and a Dodge Charger, but I had to go JDM really, didn't I? So we're going to make our way to the first event meet. So this seems to be the hub where you kind of go for your races, whether you do it in day or night. There seems to be a lot more kind of risk at kind of running at night time, but you do seem to build your heat level up throughout day and night, and there is police in kind of both settings. So unlike heat where you mostly get into your chases at night, it seems very kind of mixed in terms of the events having police in both day and night. It's not really sanctioned or anything like that. So we're in the meeting, we're going to choose our first ever race, or proper race should I say. We've gone for the factory one, factory record as you can see, and we're going to boot this street race straight up. And as you can see, we look like we're pretty much overpowered here. Obviously I can spot a Lamborghini there, there's a Chevy Corvette as well. So plenty of cool custom cars on offer. Obviously the style being shown there with the kind of comic book anime styled characters. I've obviously kept the effects on. I actually really like them. I feel like it gives Need for Speed Unbound a kind of unique presence, and that's kind of what I was looking forward to, that whole stylized feeling. It feels great that a racing game is kind of trying something new, and for me I feel like even early game it works very well. Whether as the game gets older, will I kind of get fed up of seeing the effects? I'm not quite sure yet. I'm kind of sat on the fence. But early on, I'm pretty much loving these kind of weird and quirky, stylized effects that we've got. Obviously, a lot of the effects that you've seen here are ones that came with a Palace edition. In terms of the AI, I've got them set on like kind of the regular difficulty. So they're not too easy, they're not too hard. One thing that I am trying to take a bit of getting used to is the handling model within the game. Very kind of strange. As you can see, we've also got police involved in a day race, whereas Heat was mainly sanctioned. I mean, it's been that long since I played that game. I believe their day events were sanctioned, and that's kind of where you'd earn your money, and then at night it'd be all about your rep. But now you earn money day and night. You also build your heat level up day and night. There's police for both of the events. So as you can see, it really is looking great. That's one thing that kind of stood out to me, is just how good this game really does look, especially with kind of the more realistic aspect mixed with those effects. Like I said, just really giving it a unique presence. In terms of the handling model, look, like I said, it's very kind of in the middle. The cars feel nice and weighty, but at the same time, it's very much feels kind of drift based, at least with certain cars anyway. Maybe it does feel different, with other cars, but this Sylvia I've got here very much likes to get its rear end out, very kind of, brake, let go, get the drift going, and then kind of going around. So that's a daytime event. Now it's going to give us the option to drive back. I'm going to skip all that bit, and it's going to essentially then allow us to go out at night, where we will do 2 events. We can kind of see where the risk and reward really kind of comes into play within Need for Speed Unbound. One thing to note is the cash that it gave us for this race won't allow us to enter or buy in to the nighttime, kind of more complex nighttime race. So that is why we've had to do 2. Essentially, after the first one, you can go back to the garage, but I wanted to kind of, really take that risk early on to just give myself a chance at an extra shot of money, which then can go into obviously cars and customization and stuff. So yeah, as you can see, it's going to give us the option to go to Rydell's garage. I'm going to skip the majority of that bit, and we're going to go straight back out at night time. So let's go and check it out. So as you can see at night, it's as if the kind of whole vibe of the game changes. It's very kind of, I want to say reminiscent of sort of like Midnight Club Dub Edition mixed with some like kind of the, Underground 2, Underground 1 kind of vibes of how it feels at night. Maybe even a bit of Carbon. Obviously, like, it's been years since I've played those games, but it really does give you a whole different kind of vibe at night. The effects are really awesomely on show at night as well, so that's why I feel like the style is just really kind of working well, whether it be day or night. I just feel like night gives it that kind of more street racing edge, which is, clearly what the game's going for, and it works very, very well. So we're going to work our way back to the meet. So we're going to go to the same meet that we were just at in the day. It's going to be the same kind of races, I believe. I'm going to assume each kind of meet has its own kind of roster of racers and people to race against, at least anyway. I'm going to assume there's more than kind of, 7 other racers that we're just going to be taking on the whole time. So we're just going to go here, go into our meet, and we're going to boot up our first night event. So once you go into events at nights, it seems to kind of change up what's on offer. We've got this one, which is the free one, which is what we're going to do first. Then we need to essentially put some of that money back in to do the buy-in for the more kind of better rewarded event. So another street race here, however, this one is kind of circuit based, so it's laps. The previous one was kind of a point to point. This one's lap based, and the event after this one is actually a speed race, which is a whole different kind of ball game in terms of actually racing. This circuit one I didn't have too many problems with. It's just kind of me mostly getting used to the handling model within the game. I do really like it though. There is a much nicer weight to the cars. There's more feeling when you kind of getting it sideways and when you're trying to get it through the corners, compared to, let's say, the last Need for Speed, which was Heat, where the cars just felt kind of disjointed and as if there was just kind of no weight to them. You kind of just threw them in, and then there was a lot more predictable, where it takes, I'd say, a lot finer kind of drifting and such to feel that weight and stuff. You got to kind of work out if it's going to kind of go push too far and go over the limits. As you can see, the effects at full display there. But yeah, there is an absolutely amazing weight to these cars, whilst kind of keeping it mainly arcade based, and I absolutely really do like it. I feel like it's probably the best handling model we've had in terms of a Need for Speed, probably since like the days of Pro Street, Carbon and such, where the cars felt there was a nice weight. They do feel more akin to that than they did kind of the more rebooted Need for Speeds, as we should say, from like 2015, Payback, and was it Payback? Yeah, I'm sure it was, and then obviously Last Off Heat. So yeah, I'd say it's more kind of weighty like the old games, but still keeps that very grounded in arcade kind of roots, which is, look, this is what Need for Speed's all about. It does work very, very well. Absolutely loving it. As you can see from the style of the city, it feels a lot more alive. Even in events, you'll see pedestrians walking around, which is what a lot of street racing and kind of I guess open world based racing games really do miss out on a lot of the time, especially when you go into events. And I feel like that's what Heat was missing. As much as I loved Heat, it was just missing that extra bit of personality, which filling it with pedestrian stuff just gives it a new breath of life. I really do absolutely just love how alive the city feels. So the money that we've just won from that circuit street race, we're essentially going to put some of that back in to the night race events to give ourselves more profit and more money to go off. We're going to take that risk. As you can see, we did have the police on us, so that's going to resume here. We've also got a heat level going up, obviously because we're going further in to the night. Now I believe it ends kind of on the day, from what I can gather at the end of this. So you'll do a whole day and night cycle, and then that's when your heat kind of drops off at the end of the whole day. As you can see, we've quite easily escaped the police, which is a shame. To be honest, they don't seem very good so far, but it is early game, so I'm guessing it's still trying to sort of hold my hand in a way. I am going to assume as we kind of get later on in the game and a heat level rises and such, that it's going to get a lot more difficult in terms of police chases, and I cannot wait for that. So we're going to buy into this event. We actually need some, a certain amount of cash to be able to buy in, so that's what we've done. But we've come out with a lot more money after the race. So we put 4 grand in, we'll essentially get 8 grand in profit, as well as the profit we made earlier on in the day and, what's left over from the other race. So this is a speed race. Now this takes place on a highway. It seems like it's a lot faster than those first few races, especially. It is just pure highway at night, police are on there, traffic are on there. It was actually quite a difficult event. It took me a couple of goes, and I think that was mainly because I was trying to get used to what I can and can't kind of drive through. There's a bit of a toll booth at the end, which you'll see, and the first time I thought, oh, maybe I'll be able to smash through that. Yeah, it turns out I couldn't, and it absolutely wrecked me. So yeah, I did have to do a few restarts. Is what it is. Again, like I said, I'm just getting used to it as much as you guys are, but I'm absolutely loving the speed on these speed races. It really does give you a proper sense of speed. It's very kind of on edge, the fact that a single mistake can just ruin your whole run, and then obviously if you don't obviously get first place and such or whatever, it's going to ruin the amount of money you're going to get from it. So it was essentially a case of, you know, really trying to push this car to the limits whilst at the same time trying to avoid, you know, accidents and running into just silly things like I did a couple of times. So yeah, I mean, the fact that you're hitting upwards of nearly 170 plus, you're absolutely boosting everywhere you can. The AI seems very, very well matched in this event. Then obviously you've got to try and factor in the police. It just adds up to some crazy feel of an event. I absolutely really like these speed races. They're top notch. Like, genuinely, I don't think I've had this much fun just in terms of doing these kind of events in a long time. Like, the risk versus reward factors there, the whole sense of speed's there, the style's there. Just honestly, early days for Need for Speed Unbound, and I don't want to make a full judgment just yet, but I'm absolutely loving it. This is one of the most unique races we've had in, well, years, to be honest. A lot of kind of racing games are going more towards realism, where Need for Speed's thought, let's just go absolutely crazy, add a bunch of effects, get the speed really there, and add police chases and such, as well as a big open world map. Is absolutely awesome so far. So there we go, we did eventually win that race, and that's going to give us a nice bit of profit. As you can see, our buy-ins come off. That's a bank reward. We've got 8k after the kind of buy-ins been took off, and our heat level goes up again, so we're at 1.5 flames here. So it's just going to get more and more difficult. However, we are going to finish the night off, hopefully after we get away from the police, which obviously we are. Again, they're not too tough, these police cruisers, and we haven't got our heat level up high enough, but we do have an at risk of 14k now. So again, that risk versus reward, if they catch us here, we're just basically going to lose everything, which I love. I love the risk factor behind these kind of police chases and such. The fact that you could absolutely lose what feels like a ton of progress. It was first kind of shown off in Rivals way back in like 2013, and obviously in Heat as well, and it's obviously back now for Need for Speed Unbound, and it works absolutely amazingly. As you can see, we have escaped, and now that's going to be it. Just thought I'd cover some of the day in kind of night events, some early game footage, obviously give you my early game thoughts. I'm going to be kind of focusing on Need for Speed and Gran Turismo again for probably the next few weeks or so. This is one of the big releases of the year for me, in my opinion. Absolutely looking forward to it, and it's definitely living up to my hopes, which is great. For once, a game's not kind of let me down early days. Yes, there's still time for it to for me to change my opinion on that, but honestly, absolutely loving Need for Speed Unbound. So stay tuned to the channel if you want to check out more of this game. Like I said, I'll be covering it for hopefully quite a while. So thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Check out my links in the description for my Twitter and my Discord, as well as my sponsor for today's video, the Controller People. Thank you so much for the support recently. Absolutely incredible. The channel's going places. See you later, guys. Take care. Peace.